Hello there. Where I am, I would say good evening. Poor imitation of Alfred Hitchcock. Let me scooch my chair a tad. No matter how much I try to set everything up the way I want it before I hit the record button, I always find something that I didn't get quite right. This is the 24th of February. I kept trying to say May, and it ain't May. This is the 24th of February, 2026. It is 2043, which is 8:43 p.m. in civilian time. And this is Sippin and Talkin, the main part of the Whiskey for Beginners channel. And when I'll upload this, I don't know. But a week ago today was my first full day home from the hospital. Of course, in the hospital, I didn't have any bourbon. At home, I do. This is Old Forester 100 proof. I have had 3 different expressions of Old Forester. The Statesman, way back when I was just getting started. The 1910, and this. This is the only one I really like. The 1910 was okay. The Statesman I didn't care for at all. But I was in the hospital, and one of the things that happened was that I did not have any sort of withdrawal from alcohol at all, which that's what I would have predicted, but it's nice to have confirmation that I am keeping it under control. It don't control me. And I don't mean this to be a whiny video nor a braggy video. You know, I've lived in the South for years, and you get these little old Southern ladies, and they will tell you about their surgeries at the drop of a hat and drop the hat themselves. You know, that they almost brag about how many times somebody sliced and diced on them. I don't want to be that way, and I'm certainly not going to complain. But after just a week out of the hospital, it is kind of right at the tip of my mind. I had and I didn't even know there were these 2 different kinds, but I had stable angina. Then there's an unstable angina. I had thought it was angina, but I'm not a doctor, so the official diagnosis is what I'm actually going by. It's nice to know that the 2 times I've had to call 911 these past few years, I have been right about what was wrong with me. Although, on the actual night when I was actually calling 911, I thought it was a heart attack. It wasn't. It was just awful angina. I thought the alien was going to come popping out my chest, like in the movie, which the only movie I've ever took my wife to is Alien, way back in 1979 at the Base Theater at Osan. We're neither of us big movie people. First glass of the night, and it smells good. Smells like bourbon. You know, the Old Forester 100 isn't spectacular, but it is good bourbon. But they found that I had one blockage, just the one, but it was 95%. And no wonder it hurt. You can't even see, well, you won't be able to see it, but it's right there where my fingers are pointing. That thing. Let me try this again. Right there where that finger's a pointing. I didn't mean to be vulgar. That was certainly not my intention. It just, it was easier with that finger until I withdrew the others and realized. But they went in there, followed an artery up and around into my heart, put in a stent, and I'm on drugs for life now, but they don't get me high, so that's a good thing. Turned out I had a astronomical blood pressure, and I hadn't known it. Whether that contributed to the angina, I don't know. I never thought to ask. Getting spiciness and alcohol. First glass of the night, my nose and my palate and all are not wide awake. But by the way, it's not a smeary glass. Usually when I'm making these videos, it's second or third glass and it's all smeared. But I called 911. In fact, it woke me up. I got a whole hour of sleep that night. It woke me up and I called 911 and told them I wanted to go to the VA hospital. Thank you, Barack Obama. I don't pay for my health care now. Until he come along and gave us the Affordable Care Act, I was paying for medical insurance out of my paycheck. Well, it got to where the cheapest insurance I could get from work had a $3,000 deductible, and until this episode, and I don't even know how much that cost, but I'd never spent $3,000 on a doctor in 1 year in my life. $3,000 deductible. The premium was outrageous, so I said forget this mess and signed up with the VA. I could have done that way back in 1982, and I never had. My view is you pay for what you get. Now, people tell me that I did pay for it. I spent 4 years in the Air Force, but I just can't see 4 years in the Air Force being payment for decades of free medical care. But Barack Obama drove me to it, so they'll take care of me for free. Prescriptions will never be more than $11. That may change someday, but I've been signed up with them for 9 years and it hasn't yet. They don't give my wife medical care, but they'll bury both of us for free in a national cemetery. Dig the cinnamon and brown sugar. And I wasn't focusing on the finish, but there's something fruity, citrusy in there, which I don't normally get from Old Forester 100 proof. On the other hand, I ate some barbecue flavor stacks about half an hour ago. I know I've been drinking Coke since. There may be some of that other in there influencing my palate. If you've been watching these videos, I don't have to tell you. So I wanted to go to the VA. Well, the VA is like all hospitals, it's busy. And this is an Air Force town, so it's got a whole bunch of folks. So they diverted the ambulance to Caseman Hospital, which is part of the Presbyterian chain. The emergency room there looked at me, gave me some drugs, diagnosed the high blood pressure. First I'd heard of it when I had my kidney stone. I believe it was about 3-4 years ago. They didn't say anything, so it must have developed since. And they determined that they needed to admit me, but they didn't have a bed there. They were looking to transfer me either to the downtown Presbyterian Hospital or the Rust Hospital up in Rio Rancho, which I didn't even know there was one, and it's a fairly new hospital anyways, so they built it since I knew anything about what they had. So we rode in heavy rain from Caseman Hospital on Constitution. And if you're not in Albuquerque, all these location details won't mean a foreign thing to you. Good stuff. Getting some oak on that finish now, as well as that citrus, which is still there. I think it's kind of orange and lemon mix. That's weird. I don't get citrus from this. That's a brighter flavor than I'm used to. It's not bad, but it's not what I'm used to. So we drove up 15 miles or so, maybe less. It's like 11 miles from there to the house, so maybe a dozen miles from Casement up to Rust. And I spent 4 days there. I'd have been out sooner, but by the time they determined for sure what they needed to do, it was the weekend. And you know, I went in, it was early Friday morning by the time I got up to Rust. And they spent that day looking at test results and whatnot. And then the catheterization lab only operates Monday through Friday. So it looked at one point like I was going to get to go home Saturday. Didn't happen. I was in there for the weekend. They did the cath lab on Monday, put the stent in, and for whatever reason, maybe they just took me in too late. Sometimes if they do the stent or the catheterization in the morning, they said you can get out that afternoon, but I didn't get out till Tuesday. That was the first time I had actually been admitted to the hospital in 60 years or thereabouts. When I was a kid, I had my tonsils out, and that was the last time I had to stay overnight in the hospital. And I don't remember how long I was in the hospital then. I was 5, 6, 7 years old is all. Very good whiskey. This bottle only cost me $22.99 for 100 proof bourbon whiskey. That is an absolute bargain. This stuff is worth 10 or 5 or 10 bucks more, so anywhere from 27 to 32 bucks would be a fair price for this. There is whiskey out there, not top shelf, I'm not claiming that, but there is whiskey out there which is very good, which is better than some of the high dollar and allocated stuff, and you can get it for 30 bucks or less. Evan Williams Bottled in Bond is just a cent on my current bottle anyway, is a cent under 20 bucks for bottled in bond good bourbon whiskey. Now, not every $20 bottle is going to be worth buying, I grant. And if you want the best quality, you do have to pay for it. You know, Tonstoffel, no such thing as a free lunch. If you ever get anything free, I guarantee you somebody paid for it. You didn't. Somebody did. You know, you get a Christmas present, it's free, except the person who gives it to you paid for it. So it wasn't really free. But don't know how I got off onto that. But I can't say I was miserable in the hospital, because I had the first 3 nights I was in ICU, had a room to myself. I had a sofa to sit on. I had windows to look out. I could sit there and play with my phone or read a book on my phone. I could play a game on my phone, what have you. I could watch TV, although their channel selection was limited. I wound up watching mostly Forensic Files because that was the least boring of what was on. I missed my wife something awful. Got to know, as well as a patient can know a nurse for a period of 4 days, I got to know Ashley, Tarina, and Rahima. Great nurses, absolutely. Tarina was kind of abrupt and pushy the first day that I had her at night. The next day she was much nicer and knew her stuff, certainly, and she wasn't outright rude, just she was one of these people who lacked the benefit of a southern raising. She didn't have the gentleness and the courtesy a southern nurse would have, you know. In the South, you go in a restaurant and you sit down, the waitress comes up and said, "Would you like something to drink, honey?" "I'd like a glass of iced tea." "Will that be sweet or unsweet, sugar?" You know, it's a whole different way of dealing with people. And my sensibilities are southern, so here in New Mexico, what passes for excellent manners to me still has this tinge of rudeness. But Tarina wasn't rude, she was just a New Mexico lady. But Ashley was great. Rahima was fantastic. If I had to pick a nurse to follow me wherever I needed a nurse, it would be Rahima. Dr. Halim, Halim, I finally got to look at his name tag the next day. Dr. Halim was great, his whole team, and they gave me names and I can't remember. I can't remember the techs and all the rest. I'm terrible with names. I'm lucky I can remember the nurses' names. And I don't even remember all of their names, unfortunately. Good bourbon. And that citrusy note has faded off of the finish now, and it's typical bourbon-y stuff. But if I ever have to be in the hospital, well, the VA is going to be my first choice simply because that's me. I'm a veteran. I'm signed up with the VA. That's where I would prefer to go, simply to keep it all in-house. But if they can't send me to the VA, send me to Rust. Although if I ever have to go to the hospital again, there's no guarantee I'll be in ICU. And if I am, there's no guarantee I'll have any of those people caring for me the second time around. I'll probably never see one of them again in my whole life. There's no reason for them to be coming up in here in the Northeast Heights. I have not lost a foreign thing in Rio Rancho. Until this, hadn't been up there in several years. Rio Rancho may be a good place to live. I don't know. Every time I've been up there, it's looked like somebody just slapped some pieces of a town down helter-skelter and left them all dusty and higgledy-piggledy. And I'm at 21 minutes. I didn't realize it rambled so long. But I am back. You never knew I was gone, did you? And if I hadn't done this video, you never would have known it. But sipping and talking means talking about whatever's uppermost in my mind. And right now, obviously, what happened a week ago, which hurt. And it hurt when they stuck me. It hurt. Well, I was going to say two things, but they all come under the heading of sticks. I always liked it when they drew blood through an IV. I had one in each arm, and it was sure a lot easier on me for them to draw blood that way. Apparently, it's hard to find my veins. Good thing I never mainlined. I never really have liked needles, and the older I get, the less I like them. And part of it is that they have so much trouble finding a vein on me that they wind up sticking me in ways that hurt, I think, even more. But I could ramble and meander and babble all night, and I'm not going to do that. So, I've been talking about health-related things, and the Spanish toast literally means health. And there's a toast in English, to your health. But I'm going to go with the Spanish one after all. Estoy en Nuevo Mexico, vivo en Albuquerque. I'm in New Mexico. I live in Albuquerque. The name of this city, Albuquerque, is an anglicized version, missing one R, of a Spanish name, Spain Spanish. It's named after the Duke of Albuquerque, El Duque de Albuquerque. Albuquerque. When you say it any kind of speed, you can't really hear that R. But anyway, because of where we are, we'll do it in Spanish. Salud.